out of closed session.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Right, and Mrs. Hurd.
Whereas the Powhatan County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Powhatan School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by the Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Aye.
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 Okay. Do we get an aye from you, Ms. Hurd? I didn't hear it.
Oh, I said aye.
Okay,
Yes.
I did not hear you. All right, so we are now back in session, and looks like I need approval on the personnel docket and the addendum.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the personnel docket and addendum.
Second,
Madam Chair, I'll second.
Oliver,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. And the next item is adjournment. So at 5:22, this workshop is adjourned. If you would come to order, please, and those standing, if you would like a seat, there are more seats up in the front on both sides. If you're allergic to the front and you like to hold up the wall, that's okay. It may get to be long, but feel free to move down and take a seat if you need to. All right, I'm going to call the Powhatan County School Board regular meeting for April the 15th, 2025 to order. Let the record show that all board members are present, along with our superintendent, Dr. Tigan, and our clerk, Mrs. Eggleston. If you would please stand for the pledge and remain standing for the invocation. Thank you. Mrs. Wade.
This evening, we thank you for the opportunity to get here this month for this meeting. We praise you and thank you for the great academic year we've had. God, we pray your blessings on all that we will recognize tonight for their accomplishments, both teachers and staff, as well as our students and student athletes. And so, Lord, just thank you for all the good things that are happening in our schools. And we ask now for your wisdom and your guidance as we go throughout this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Put my coat on. All right, thank you for that. And let us now have an approval of the agenda this evening.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second, please.
Madam Chair, I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approval of the minutes. A motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Review of bills and receipts. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move right on to the best part of the evening, our recognitions. We're going to start with,
Yes, we're going to, we'll go down and be able to greet with our first group that is our Future Chef Award winners. They'll make their way forward and we'll be calling their names.
As Dr. Tigan said, we are going to be starting with our future award winners. Each PCPS elementary is asked to send 2 young competitors to meet in the Future Chef's Culinary Challenge in March. Students submit a nutritious main dish recipe. The students with the top entries were chosen to compete in the live competition held at Powhatan High School on March 18th, 2025. With the help of assigned assistants, the students prepared their dishes and presented them to a panel of judges for consideration. All of the students did a fantastic job. First, we have to recognize Hazel Long, 2nd grade student at Pocahontas Elementary. She received first place. Next is Nolan Urban, 5th grade Flat Rock Elementary, 2nd place. Up next is Charlie Burgess, 5th grade Powhatan Elementary, 3rd place. Up next, Tegan Mercer, 4th grade Pocahontas Elementary, and he was a finalist. She was a finalist, excuse me. Keegan Johnson, 1st grade Powhatan Elementary, chef finalist and best decorated hat contest winner. And last, we have Kate Weaver, 5th grade Pocahontas Elementary, and she was also a chef finalist. We also have a video I'd like to highlight, so if you could click that. Thank you. Miss Kohler, would you like to join for the picture? All right, our next award of the night is the 2025 VSBA Southside Regional Art Contest. When name's called, if you could pick up your art at the back table and bring it up, that would be much appreciated. Local school board members were treated to an impressive display of creativity and faced some tough decisions on March 2025, selecting the 2025 winners in the Virginia School Board Association Southside Regional Art Contest. Student art from the elementary, middle, and high school levels represented each school division in the competition, which was judged at the Regional Forum for an area school board members. The VSBA Regional Art Contest started in 1989 to promote the artistic talents of Virginia's school students. Each of the 9 VSBA regions was chosen for the elementary, middle, and high school level. Winning art is framed and displayed in the VSBA offices in Charlottesville. Students from each school sent their art projects to Dr. Tigan and her staff to select the final piece representing PCPS. A big congratulations to the students. Our first one is Ali Michaela Gregory, 6th grade student, and her piece of art was Tide. Third place elementary school winner was Maddox Woodson. He is a 3rd grader at Powhatan Elementary School with Monarch Migration. All right, next for our recognition award, Hayden Vick, 12th grade, Powhatan High School. Man is the measure of all things. For entry award, Zoe Clark, 7th grade student, Dritten on a Cliff. This is Rachel Bone, an 8th grade student with Undefined. Colt Sowers, 3rd grade, Flat Rock Elementary School, The Sea Dragon. And Bryson Ford, 2nd grade student at Pocahontas Elementary School, Landscape Painting. All right, our next award is the 2026 Teacher of the Year. Powhatan County Public Schools recognized and honored 5 school-based Teachers of the Year in November. These individuals were nominated by their school staff for their leadership and service to the profession. They will serve in this role for the 2025-2026 school year. On January 14th, 2025, the Powhatan County Schools 2026 Teacher of the Year was announced. Tonight, PCPS is happy to publicly recognize and congratulate all these individuals for their hard work and dedication to their student profession. They will also be recognized on April 23rd, 2025 at Powhatan High School at the Retiree and Teacher of the Year celebration. Up first, Elementary School, we have Colleen Schwartz. From Powhatan Elementary School, we have Laura Simon. From Pocahontas Elementary School, Bethany Britz. From Powhatan Middle School, Kim McComb. From Powhatan High School, Tara Harmon. All right, we also would like to recognize our Division Teacher of the Year, which is Miss Bethany Britz. You may come up there. Congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year. All right, our next award tonight is our VCU Clinical Faculty Award. Teachers consistently report that their student teaching experience is the most powerful and essential part of their preparation program. It's where students test their knowledge of theory and practice in the real world and genuinely begin to internalize their roles as future leaders. We recognize Sarah Barnes for completing her foundations and mentoring for clinical faculty through VCU tonight. She is an exemplary pre-K through 12 practitioner identified through a rigorous process to work with VCU pre-service teachers. Through an intense 5-module training based on the New Teacher Center Santa Cruz Legacy Mentoring Model, VCU clinical faculty acquires the knowledge, skills, and tools needed to support pre-service teachers. We are fortunate to have dedicated teachers willing to support our pre-service teachers and new teachers with the skills gained through this program. Please congratulate Sarah Barnes from Powhatan Elementary School. All right, up next is our Virginia Future Problem Solving State Bowl and Mover and Shaker Award. The Virginia Future Problem Solving State Bowl is a competition in which teams of 6 students use a 6-step problem-solving model to analyze complex societal problems and propose action plans. The top teams, 2 of which are from Powhatan County Public Schools, advance to the international conference. First, we'd like to welcome our coaches, Penny Robertson, Amanda Henderson, Paige Anderson, Mary Lisa Watts, and Patty Haskins. right, our junior division global issues problem solving. First place awarded to our Pocahontas team. This team earned the invitation to attend the international conference at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, June 4th through 8th. First, we have Arden Hanberry. Corby Henderson. Molly Schwind. And Tegan Greenway. We're going to now recognize our third place team, which is Flat Rock Elementary School, Leah Sear. Maris Gregory. Savannah Nalder. And Liliana Rockwell. Our middle school division global issue problem solving. Honorable mention was awarded to the PMS team. First is Mario Ortega. Wyatt Dabney. Myron Fuller. Ethan Nelson. Our middle school division presentation of action plan performance. Third place was awarded to this team, Brooks Fessler. Caden Gibson. Gavin Welsh. Parker Daniels. And honorable mention for the Powhatan Middle School team, Berkeley Krieger. Collins Harvey. Erica Troopman. And Natalie Blankenship. Our junior division presentation of action plan performance. This is also an honorable mention for the Powhatan Middle School team, Noah Spence. And Juliana Russo. Middle division creative writing. Third place is awarded to this Powhatan Middle School writer, Riley James. Our senior division community projects. First place is awarded to Powhatan High School's Emerging Leaders class members. This team earned the invitation to attend the international conference at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, June 4th through June 8th. First is Jillian Bates. Jameson Britt. Emma Carter. Chase Connolly. Evangeline Fridley. Layla Fritz. Ella Green. Emma Honecker. Dylan Mapes. Sydney McCracken. Avery Payne. Caitlin Robus. Daryl Sanders. Shannon C. Jalen Skeens. Nolan Stamp. Noah Whelan. All right. In addition to the achievements of the problem-solving teams, our very own Penny Robertson was awarded this year's Mover and Shaker Award in recognition of her years of commitment and service as a coach, evaluator, and mentor to the students and teams. Ms. Robertson, can you? There you are. Please congratulate our future problem-solving state bowl and our mover and shaker.
Can we try and do 3 rows? So we're going to have scooch in as much as we can, and some of the kids would be willing to come down and maybe either kneel or sit in front, just so we can get everybody in.
Bro, there's like this half room. Guys, we need to get spread out.
In blue.
Get up.
Congratulations. Just being observant. Okay. All right, we're going to move on with our last recognition of the night, and that is our 24-25 Powhatan High School winner athletes. Okay. Winner athletes. Bring them in, yeah. Stay wherever, yeah. I see Mr. Tanaka here, and he's not written on here. Here he is. But it's, okay, so we're going to do in Georgia. Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay. All right. We're here to recognize our winter athletes and their accomplishments, along with the coaching staff at Powhatan High School. For Powhatan Indoor Track, our coaches are Robert Cook and Jason Homer. We also like to recognize Elijah Wagner, a sophomore who qualified for state indoor track in the long jump. He finished in 16th place at the state meet. Next, we're going to recognize our wrestling team. We would like to call up Mr. Tanaka, who is the wrestling coach. And also Matus, Coach Matus. All of these wrestlers qualified for the state meet. First is Jacob Bass. Brady Beard. C.T. Rich. Ian Mathus. Luke Wells. Luke finished third in the state, and Luke won Region 4 overall in weight class. Gavin Utley. Gavin also finished third in the state and won Region 4 overall in weight class. Jackson Ferris. Armando Nieves. Matthew Taylor. Matthew won Region 4 overall in weight class. And Lily Ferris. Lily finished fourth in the state. Please congratulate all of our Powhatan High School winter athletes.
All right, moving on to the presentations for the evening. We will start with Dr. Tigan.
We will start with a presentation from Mr. Bob Benway on the solar panel projects, past and potential future.
Excellent. Yeah, Mrs. Smith, you asked for some information on the money we're saving on our solar panels, so I thought I'd start with background information first, and then move into some power-saving figures. So back in 2019, Powhatan County Public Schools worked with Sun Tribe Solar to install solar panels and inverters on 4 of our schools, Powhatan Middle and the 3 elementary schools. The high schools left off because the roof wasn't in good enough condition to install solar panels at that time. But they installed solar panels and inverters, and then they worked with Dominion Power to create a power purchase agreement such that we could pay 8.57 cents per kilowatt hour for the life of these cells, which is about 25 years. And here you see Powhatan Elementary. So elementary is capable of producing 400 kilowatts, which of course is a unit of power. Overall, the entire system in the school system can produce 10 million kilowatt hours, which of course is a unit of energy. So there is this power purchase agreement, which basically the power that's coming from the solar cells goes into the Dominion meter. The Dominion meter is able to tell whether this power is coming from the solar cells or from the grid outside. If it's coming from the solar cells, it goes back into our schools and powers our schools. And any extra that might be needed comes from the grid. There's also a net metering agreement in effect, such that if the solar panels produce more power than the schools can use, that power would go out into the grid, and Dominion could sell that at the market rate. However, of course, if it's a cloudy day, rainy day, or middle of the night, the solar cells aren't producing any power, then the schools will have to purchase that energy off the grid at the standard rate. There is no energy storage capability in this system. So if you look over the past 5 years, this is the energy that's been generated at each of the schools. It's purely a function of the amount of square feet that are up on the roof that have solar panels. So as you would expect, Powhatan Middle School is producing the most power, and Flat Rock, which is about equivalent to Pocahontas Elementary in terms of classroom square footage, but of course it's a 2-story building, so it has approximately half of the square feet of solar panels on top of that particular school. So how do we determine the savings? Well, we take the average price per kilowatt hour over the period of the 4 years, which comes out to be about 12.32 cents. That was kind of the going rate for our particular class per kilowatt hour. And as I mentioned, the power purchase agreement, we're purchasing the solar energy for 8.57 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a difference of 3.57 cents. So we take the total amount of power that each of the schools produced over a 5-year period and multiply it by that difference, and we come up with a total savings of almost $375,000 over the course of 5 years. Now, the good thing is, as I mentioned, this power purchase agreement price of 8.37 cents is for the entire 25-year period. So that, as you expect, the price of power will continue to grow, but we'll continue to pay that same flat rate through the 25-year period. So, as I mentioned, the high school, its roof wasn't in good enough condition to put in solar panels at the time. However, hopefully we'll be able to get a new roof the high school in 2026, and it would look something like this. And so these are the numbers that Sun Tribe Solar ran for us. You can kind of see how the savings start out slow in the far right column, but as time goes on at that fixed rate, it can add up to substantial savings for the county over that period. Any questions on this?
Mr. Benway,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have the first question. I've waited so long for this information. It's good information, though. and I appreciate your hard work in discovering it. Does the school ever produce more than it needed?
Yes. On a good, bright, sunny day, especially in the summertime when we're not necessarily running all our systems at full rate, there is excess energy, and that is just pushed right back out to the grid. We don't see any benefit from that under the agreement. Under the agreement, Dominion can sell that at the fixed market price.
And do we know which school is the most consistent in its production?
As you probably know, a lot of it depends on the amount of square footage you have.
Right.
It depends on the angle of the solar cell, which is usually dependent on the angle of the roof and where they're facing. Ideally, the perfect thing is about 60 degrees in the horizon, pointed to the south. And for some of the schools do a better job than that with others, just because of the roof line and other obstacles that might be up on the roof. But I'd say our best performing school overall is probably Powhatan Elementary.
Powhatan Elementary. Wow. All right. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Now, how, do we have to pay a cost for those panels initially?
Great question. I obviously missed that. So we don't pay anything to have them installed. We don't pay anything for the maintenance they do. They probably come by once a quarter to tweak them, clean the solar panels. Occasionally an inverter needs to be replaced. But they give us notice. And obviously we're in the middle of testing or something else is going on. We say, not today. But they'd come up there and they're intrusive, do their work, and we don't even know they're up there. And once again, we don't pay anything for that.
So still with the installation on the high school, once the new roof is on, it will be at no cost to us for the solar panels?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that through a program through Dominion Energy to do that, or is it
It's a combined thing between Sun Tribe and Dominion. They're the one that come up with that power purchasing agreement. And they're the ones that develop the price because, of course, Dominion wants a cut. Sun Tribe wants a cut because they're the ones that paid for and installed and maintained the solar cells. But that's kind of transparent to us. What we see is the market rate, or not the rate that we purchase at, which is below the market rate. So we really didn't pay anything up front. We're not paying anything right now. They're just using our roofs as a big sold that they can sell energy to us for cheaper than we could getting it off the grid.
Is there any thought, because now the battery storage, has been perfected for solar facilities. So they approached us about any type of battery installation?
No, they haven't. Traditionally, batteries are for dwellings that are off the grid. Battery cost is
Well, they're starting to put them in the solar facilities, so on cloudy days, you can harvest.
To my knowledge, that is still
Okay.
in terms of the payback that Sun Tribe would get or a Dominion would get when once again they can just kind of push it out through the net metering and sell it at cost. I think that's their motivation.
All right, my last question, from being a retired physics teacher, does it open any doors in any of the schools, probably more advanced, middle school, high school, for any sort of experimentation, calculation with the surface area of the panels, calculating, what the efficiency of the panel, has anything like that been done? You might not be, I know who to ask that, but I'm just curious if we use this as an opportunity for academics.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, through this agreement, there is set up where they can come in and the Sun Tribe Solar folks would give a lesson and gather some of the data and show the data and how they can manipulate the data to like a high school physics class or the environmental class that could benefit from this. I wasn't aware until I dug deeper into this agreement that we had back in 2018.
Because it is important. A lot of people don't understand what a kilowatt hour is. They might get their Dominion bill or their electric bill and what does this mean? So
Yeah.
it is a useful piece of information to.
Power is equal to energy divided by time.
Oh, yeah.
For energy is equal to power times time.
Thanks.
Questions? No?
Any questions on any other facility topics? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Continuing with presentations. The next presentation, Dr. Michelle Mark will come up, and she's going to give an update on the work the division has been doing with artificial intelligence, where we've been and where we're maybe headed. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, artificial intelligence in Powhatan schools, finding our balance in a changing tide. So, in this presentation, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and generative AI, which is also referred to as Gen AI. So, I'd like to define those for you to start. So, artificial intelligence refers to the technology that enables computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as recognizing patterns, making decisions, and generating content. And then generative AI, or Gen AI, refers to the artificial intelligence that can create new content, such as text and images, music, and code, based on patterns that it's learning from existing data on the web. So AI in education is like the waves in the ocean. They are coming at us already. And it's our choice. Our choice isn't whether they're coming. Our choice is how we ride. And here in Powhatan, we want to ride those waves skillfully, strategically, and always with purpose. So we often think about AI as the future, and really AI is now. And so some of the ways that we all are experiencing AI around us in our search recommendations, for example, our Google searches, when YouTube and Netflix and Spotify are recommending videos and music for us based on what we've already watched. Amazon is always making recommendations to us based on what we want to shop for. We see it in our communication and writing. We see it in our predictive text, whether we're Microsoft Word or Google. We see it in our speech-to-text when we're using our cell phones to assist. We see it in chatbots and virtual assistants when we need online assistance for our software. Many of us may have Siri on our phones or Alexa in our homes. When we are traveling with our navigation systems and they're rerouting us because there's an accident ahead. And of course, if you have a Ring camera, a security camera, those are all based on AI. And so we are already living with AI around us. So in February of 2024, Governor Youngkin issued his Executive Order 30. It was really a call to action. We have to make sure that we are using AI responsibly and safe and using it effectively. And so there's a component of that that specifically addresses education. We recognize that AI can be a powerful tool. We have to equip students with skills, knowledge, and competencies because they are going to be course in which AI is, and we need to use it to its full potential while also safeguarding against its risk, which we know that there are. So from that executive order came several steps that Powhatan, and the first of which was last school year, which was where Powhatan established a division-wide Teacher AI Explorers group. And that was teachers who had access to some AI tools, had conversations about it, really starting to learn how AI was going to impact education. And we've continued that work here in 24-25. And one big way that we've been able to do that work, we participated in the Virginia Association of School Superintendents, that's FAST. They hosted a Gen AI Year of Learning report. And through that, we drafted some AI guidelines, and we're going to talk more about the report in the presentation. So this year, we've offered AI exploratory learning sessions for teachers. At each school, we have a team of innovative learning ambassadors. They're teacher representatives, and that's where my team goes and engages with them on new technology tools and things that we know are coming our way. Also, recently, Governor Youngkin announced his task force, which was earlier represented in the executive order. And the task force is working on advising the governor on policy, not just for education, but also for IT services in Virginia. In February of this year, we offered exploratory AI learning sessions at the STEM Expo, so families could come and students We're there to engage in some of the activities that you might see that are AI leaning. We also conducted an instructional technology needs assessment for teachers, and I'll share more about that. Just last month in March, we offered a structured pilot for our teachers using two very specific teacher-facing AI tools. One is called DIFIT and one is called Magic School. And so we are in the midst of gathering data from that and feedback from teachers on how they are using those tools and how it's impacting, their work. And thinking ahead to 25-26 school year, we know that we need to continue to provide training and strong professional development for our teachers. And we also need to continue to engage our community with parent informational sessions. So a little more about the VAST Gen AI Year of Learning. So the goal of that was to work together with a cohort of folks. So PCPS was able to host 4 of those 5 sessions here in this room, which everyone loved, by the way. We welcomed Goochland, Chesterfield, Sussex, Charles City, New Kent, Department of Juvenile Justice. So it was 6 leaders from each of those divisions who joined in with us. And our goal was to Gen AI, to evaluate its impact on education, and to determine its practical AI applications. And one of the deliverables from that year-long work sessions was document to responsible AI implementation. So it's very heavy on the philosophy of using AI. It's very heavy on the safeguarding effect, and that is what we walked away with. Very similar to your vision work, but it is very Powhatan specific. It aligns with our strategic plan. Through that work, we recognize applications in education for AI. Teacher efficiency is kind of at the top of the list, and that's the work that we're doing right now. How can we provide tools for teachers that help automate some of those processes or improve some of those processes of creating questions, creating rubrics, designing lesson plans? We recognize that AI in education can enhance creativity. That's for our learners and our educators. It can help with assessment and feedback. Certainly recognize the impact with career and workforce readiness. We have to provide students with skills where they can be successful in the workforce. Again, the ethical use and digital citizenship is also at the top of our work. We want to continue to engage our parents and our communities. And then again, there's lots of professional learning opportunities for surrounding AI. AI can also help deliver professional learning. I think there's a common fear that AI is going to replace thinking, and we recognize that fear, and we recognize the need to ensure that we're developing critical thinking skills for our students, and that's in all the work that they do here in Powhatan. We recognize that AI is a tool. It's certainly not a replacement. It's important that our students have critical skills so that they can see that AI is not a shortcut. They have to be able to discern the information that's coming to them. They need to be able to evaluate the information, evaluate it for misinformation, for bias. They need critical thinking skills to ensure the ethical and responsible use of it. So we have that at the top of the list of our focus for how we approach AI tools with students. We want to empower our learners. So earlier in the timeline, I referenced our current usage or the survey that we provided to teachers. So this is the current usage that they report to us. This was given late January. And so we've heard from our secondary teachers, about 25% are not using AI at all. Not personally, intentionally personally. Again, we're sort of surrounded with it, but not seeking it out. 28% are using it for personal use, and 47% are using it for school. Our elementary teachers reported 47% not at all, 26% for personal use, and 27% for school. Our top uses that the teachers reported for using it for school would include creating assessment questions, creating instructional materials and resources, and drafting communication. So taking a look at that creating assessment questions, we here in Powhatan use a tool called formative.com, and that tool is our assessment form across the division. And they have an AI component built in that you can use, and this is a screenshot of what that looks like. So this was intentionally, for the purpose of the screenshot, selected as a lower level, just multiple choice question. But the teacher has options to tag exactly what they want those questions to look like. So they could be open-ended, they could be other types of questions. And then they issue a prompt, like, here are my standards. You could copy and paste the standards in. And once you've done that, you're presented with a host of questions. So in this screenshot, it just shows 4 questions. And of course, the teacher would have to vet, make sure it's aligned with their standards, make sure it aligns with the content that they've taught. They can edit it here. So this is one example when teachers say they're using it to create assessment questions. One of the other top uses was creating instructional materials and resources. These are some screenshots from DFIT. That's one of the tools that our teachers are using in the pilot. And DFIT is strictly a teacher-facing tool to help develop materials. So this example is, you're reading The Outsiders, you need material in chapter 2, and this gives a teacher guide, which is the center screenshot, and then the one on the far right is the activity. So it's a vocabulary, so it gave them a 3-2-1 reading summary strategy to use with their students based off of that content. Another benefit of a tool like this is it can take those same materials and level them for different learning abilities within the classroom to help scaffold that learning along the way. And so that is like the time saver. That's the piece that helps teachers differentiate more quickly and more efficiently. So let's chat about the 80-20 rule. So in all of our training, we often hear about the 80-20 rule. So you'll kind of hear that in the AI circles. So we know that AI is not perfect. We know that it can generate content that is not what we are after. And this is a perfect example and a real example of that. So the 80% means the product comes out at 80% face value, but at least 20% still needs human view and refinement. I would argue this image might need more than 20%. But the prompt here, so this was using ChatGPT, the prompt is, please develop a quick graphic that includes the attached graphic, that would be the Powhatan one below, and the cycle of teaching, learning environment, planning instruction, facilitating learning, and assessment of learning. And it produced the image on the right. Well, if you glance just super quickly up there, it looks all put together, it looks legitimate, but as you really start to dissect it and take a look, it's missing letters, it's missing words, it's kind of hallucinated some things there. So it's just a very, very good visual that AI isn't perfect and it still needs the human element. So I do want to come back to the ethical considerations and best practice. So again, that excerpt, that do no harm excerpt, is from the executive order. And again, that is super important to us. So we will do all the work that we need to do to protect our student data and adhere to FERPA and COPA and SIPA, all of the federal guidelines that help us keep our students safe. We will develop clear policies and communication about AI use. And we will ensure that the AI tools that are in the hands of our educators and students when we are there are equitable and unbiased. So we recognize that we have a role in AI literacy for ourselves and for our students. The educator's role is to teach students how and when to use AI as a learning tool, to reinforce critical thinking, to showcase themselves how they are using AI, to set good examples for their students, and to, of course, model citation of AI tools. And you'll see in the presentation when I've used AI that I've cited that. And then we recognize that we have to address academic integrity with AI. We know that the tools exist students to access on their own to perhaps misuse AI. So we have to, again, provide clear expectations for students. We have plans to deliver common lessons to students next year so that every student is hearing the same information about AI use, to address AI misuse consistently and fairly, but also use it as a teaching opportunity and not just a disciplinary opportunity. And finally, there are tools that exist that, can help us detect AI. We know that they are flawed, and so we would carefully consider any use of detection strategies if we think students are using AI to present work that's not their own. So our next steps, we will gather feedback from the AI pilot that will go on with the teachers. There are 21 teachers involved in that at all levels. So we will collect information from them through the end of the school year. We'll use that feedback to guide our future work. We have plans to develop professional learning pathways for our teachers because we recognize there has to be lots of strong professional development and collaboration opportunities. And then again, we plan out parent informational nights at the start of school throughout the school year to make sure parents feel informed about the AI use in education. So as always, we will prioritize safety, efficiency, and learning. Okay, questions?
All right. Board questions?
I've got a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mrs. Martin, I know we talked the other day about this. So I'm going to ask, I think, a question maybe I asked you the other day, and ask it in a different way. When you say AI is a tool, and I agree with that, it's not something to be necessarily feared or stopped. I think we want to guide it, not stop it. We want to utilize it, not prevent it. How do we, just in the area of critical thinking, how do we teach critical thinking in light of the fact that AI is there and it's accessible, and it's quick, it's fast, there's no work involved really, other than coming up with a really good question to get the answer you want. Can you give an example of how we would teach or are teaching critical thinking when AI is accessible, and we know that there's a temptation there just to fall on that rather than actually do the due diligence through it. Give a scenario where.
So I'll first say most of our work so far has been with the teacher side, like equipping teachers with. So we do anticipate next year be the focus of work that we're doing behind the scenes, supporting student activities. So right now, we've not supported teachers in helping them construct activities where we're using AI as a teaching tool. But there are several, like as in our work with other school divisions, and even what is happening at higher education, hearing of great activities. And one, for example, that I'm familiar with, and I love the concept of it, is that you, for example, if you're doing an essay on the American Revolution, and that's the assignment, that you have AI write up, and then the students are chunking that work throughout the rest of the lesson, or it would take a week or two, or ever how long you're working on it. So it would be chunked out, that they're going back and verifying information and investigating the information that was the output of AI. So that is an example view of something that I know, a way that it's being used in higher education, and from the writing side of things, that I think is pretty clever, where it's putting the answer out in front, and then the students to do the work to verify the information.
So writing a paper, they would do that? You would ask AI to write a paper for you, and then you go back and make sure the information's right?
This is a very specific example from a friend of mine whose son in VAR, actually, and that was the activity. Okay. Yes, that was the assignment. So I wrote the essay up front, and then they spent time basically picking it apart and verifying all of the information and validating it. So it wasn't necessarily a writing assignment. The assignment was more of validating the information.
Okay.
And possibly grammatical corrections as well, right?
You mean AI to,
No, to correct the way it
Correct.
was written
yes,
for its correctness, its English correctness.
yes, that could certainly be a component.
I don't want my questions to create, my goal here is not to create skepticism towards this. But I'm just trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to figure out, and that is how do we best utilize it as a tool and still teach the things that we need to teach, knowing that it is the temptation that it is, because it's easy. I told you today, we all default to what's easiest. I think that's our nature. And the example I gave, as a person who writes every single week, that would not work for me. If I read something that somebody's already written, when I go to write a thing, the way I'm just going to, it's easy for me to input what I've already taken in from some other source. And so for me, that would be detrimental to my actual comprehension, just be regurgitating information that was dumped in, and it probably didn't very well. That's my first assessment of what you said. In my context, again, I'm not trying to create skepticism. I'm just trying to put my on this whole AI situation. What'd you say?
Yes, you are.
As and again, the focus of our behind the scenes work that we've done has been more on the teacher tools and the way that we want the teachers to use tools to help with their efficiency tasks.
Yeah.
The work needs to be, the work is being done and will continue to be done, but at this point, we've not rolled it out to students per se. I mean, there are some systems with, a little bit of AI tools built in for creating, designs and things, but that is certainly the work that we will continue to do.
Yeah.
And we recognize we need to do it well.
Sure. I like the idea. I like the two platforms that we have available for those who are in the pilot that helps make what teachers do more efficient. I think that's good, as long as we are making sure we're going back and verifying that the information that's being put there, the right information. Those platforms are secure, and they're not just necessarily straight coming from the web, I guess. They are specific to certain aspects of what we're trying to do. So that safeguards everything from the content side. I'm all for that. I'm just in my head still trying to, I guess I'm just older than I maybe am. But I still think you should go to the library and learn how to do research and learn how to think hard about hard things and not always just, what does Google say? And we all do it. I mean, I was at the stadium last night at a lacrosse game, and the girls were playing Patrick Henry, and it came up like, what's Patrick Henry famous for? And I was like, I think he said, give me liberty or give me death. I was like, no, that's not right. So I got my phone, Googled it, and I was right. Then I rubbed it into the guy's face, and I was like, I'm not even from, and I know more Virginia history than you do. So, but we default to that for an easy answer. That's what I'm trying to get my head around. And so anyway, thank you for your presentation.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Hurd.
And it's not just AI. I have a concern that I want to be really careful with how much technology that we're giving to kids, because I know I'm the oldest one probably up here, but I understand AI, I've used it, but I have real concerns with how much technology kids are using in the school. So me, the researcher I am, I went in and I shared this with you I guess it was this last week. So I was trying to understand educational technology policies which are appropriate in schools today. And there's an organization, SBAE, School Boards for Academic Excellence. And they had done a bunch of research, and I'll just try to streamline it really quick. Tier 1 instruction, as we know, is the initial instruction on a particular topic. And they feel strongly that those materials, physical materials, digital. So I don't want to see with AI creating more digital things that kids are doing on computers. And then the remedial tier 3 type instructional materials still should be prioritizing physical over digital, because there have been a lot of brain studies. Y'all all know that hand to brain, getting that information in, unless the research evidence is overwhelmingly supporting that digital resource. And they conclude in their conclusion, after I read bunch of stuff, that any student should only be spending an hour total screen time per school day, 1 hour a day max. And then there are concerns, and I know parents are concerned about this, that so many products can collect or sell student data. And school systems, and it's more prevalent with AI programs, need to be very careful that we totally vet that well. So, I'm old school. I love books. I love paper, pen, pencils. And that's my concern with AI. And I know the teachers are using it as a tool, but I just hate to see more technology that kids are using. And I'm concerned that the old-fashioned way works the best. And I'm not, and AI is here, it's with us. We've got to know how to use it. We've got to teach our students responsibility to it. But like I said, I tried to do my research to understand what experts are saying about technology for our students. And yeah, that's just what this old lady believes about technology.
Thank you. Ms. Wade, you have any questions? Ms. Ward?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Dr. Martin, it was a great presentation, and I'm pleased to see that we are not using it a lot in our steps of education. I think it's a great complementary tool, again, especially for, our instructional educators to reinforce the human intelligence of critical thinking. And that is a huge concern for me as well, not only old school, but basically, I believe that our brains are even more powerful and more intelligent than any computer that could ever design. However, we haven't tapped into it all. So that's where I would love to see us continue, as educators, to really focus on expanding, our own brain power and brain usage, and using this, for checks and balances, and or sometimes even maybe another idea. I know a lot of work into this, and I greatly appreciate that. And I think it's something we should sit back, continue to watch, because critical thinking and that human intelligence is the key. I mean, everybody, I'm a registered nurse. I see it in work. You won't have that manual or that computer to refer to. So how are you going to think of that next step? And those are skills that need to be developed, within our students. So we'll just watch how this goes. And I also agree with Mrs. Hart. An hour of these studies, an hour in front of a computer a day, that's enough. That's enough. So, but thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
My turn. As we look at the 47% of the teachers on the second level that were using it, I'd like to know more age specific of your teacher group. Was it more the younger teachers using the AI or the more seasoned teachers?
So we did not collect that information. It was an anonymous survey. However, I can tell you in our work where we were meeting with our innovative teams, which is a team of 6 or 7 at each school, it was you could not determine a person's perception of AI based on their age. I will say that. It was across the board. So we had very young teachers who were like, no, thank you. And or very, seasoned teachers who are like, bring it on. So it really was across the board. So I was kind of surprised by that, but I can say that just from our personal actions at our innovative teams.
And the other question that I have, is AI capable of asking a question that also gives 2 or 3 possible answers?
Is AI capable of asking a question that gives?
Or is it be dependent on the programmer?
That would be dependent on the program. But again, we are, our focus has been on more of teachers using it to create things and not in terms of AI prompting, prompting.
You know what I'm to, like, when you have a question and it says, which of the following answers are correct? And is it A, B, C, or D? And you get to, or is it just A and B? Something, or.
I would say that it potentially is, that is possible, but I will say the activity in the Gen AI cohort that we did, there's a game, for lack of a better word, that you can play and try to trick the AI or guess, guess what they're, so one thing that we found is the AI never just gives the answer, it always explains its answer. So if I were to ask it, is the sky blue? A yes or no question, that's in theory. It would explain why the skies are the colors that it is and not just give you a yes or no response. Does that help answer your question?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, still more to come.
There's more
And
to
learn
learn,
what
always.
What it can do. And I guess our challenge is to be with limitations on the amount of time that we would use AI in the classroom, maybe once a month, maybe not, but once a quarter, but depending on the subject you teach. But there could be value and excitement for the kids, because although you and I might like a book, we have to think about who our audience is and how we can make our subject exciting to them. And it has great possibilities. We just can't be afraid of it. We just can't.
But we definitely have to have guardrails.
Oh, absolutely. All boundaries, always.
yes.
But we can't be afraid of it. We just have to embrace it and realize the use of it. Okay, thank you for this report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. The next presentation is related to Youth Art in Motion. March is Youth Art Month, and you may have seen all the beautiful artwork we've had in our hallways. And here today is Miss Mary Melissa Johnson, who is our lead for our art teachers. And so I will turn it over to you, Miss Johnson.
All right. Well, first of all, I do want to thank the board. And I also want to thank the teachers who spent a lot of time matting artwork and putting it up. And also the principals who supported us reception. So I personally really appreciate that, especially since I am new to the position. So I just want to briefly just talk about what art education is and what YAM is. In 1961, the Council of Art Education established Children's Art Month, and it was a way to promote and advocate the importance of art programs in school systems around the country. By 1969, it had evolved to what we now see as YAM, or Youth Art Month. During YAM, we celebrate and share the impact education has in the community. So this year, Powhatan has been very active. Currently, we have 20 National Art Honor Society members. We had 1 Silver Key recipient from high school. We had 2 students who placed in the Virginia School Board Art. We had a school and the elementary schools in the fall festival that was at the War Memorial. And we also have over 250 art pieces that are currently on display from all 5 schools. So, a little bit about art education and why it's important. For early developmental, it works on your fine motor skills. Multi-sensorial engagement, it helps with your visual processing and helps build self-esteem, along with critical thinking. As you grow older, it develops critical problem-solving skills and helps develop your curiosity. And it's also more than fuel for your soul. Now, I love when I'm having a bad day, to be able to get my pad and pencil or my iPad and my pencil and be able to draw and reflect on what's going on. But those skills have led to wonderful and very viable career paths, including architects, designers, automotive designers, product designers, UX and UI designers. So it is actually a very viable career pathway. So we do have a video that highlights in Powhatan County and also the YAM exhibit. If you can go ahead and do that. Thank you. So, basically, to end off, I just wanted to let you guys know about the future of the arts department. So, our 7 AP students will be exhibiting their final portfolio May 14th at the War Memorial. So, I hope you guys will be able to make it. Next year, I am hoping that we will be able to bring the National Junior Art Honor Society to the middle school. And also, we are hoping that next year, instead of having a reception and an exhibit, that we'll be able to have a visual arts festival. Apparently, Powhatan had it years ago. I would like to bring that tradition back to the county. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will say that was just a few of her ideas for moving forward. I know Ms. Johnson has some lots of thoughts about moving forward, and so I look forward to that. And I'd like to thank Ms. McFarland too for taking all the photos and creating the video for us. Great teamwork. Thank you. Are we ready?
Just need to stand up.
I'm going to say it does.
All right.
I'll let you.
We're ready to get back to business here, ladies and gentlemen. If you will come on in and find your seat, and we can move on with the evening.
And now we're going to have Mrs. Constance Steele come up, tell us something good about Powhatan Elementary School. This is her night to give us a highlight on at least one of the things that's happening in her school. Thank you, Mrs. Steele.
You're welcome, and thank you, and good evening. And sometimes if I have to take my glasses off, because all of a sudden this is too close, so I apologize. Just want to talk or share a little bit about our Kids Heart Challenge, and it is an opportunity that staff and students have been involved in, and I will say Erin Woodson and Reagan Blanton, PE teachers, have been instrumental in putting this together, and they did a great job. I've got the clicker. We have been participating in challenge in saving lives for over 30 years, so we're very proud that Powhatan Elementary has been doing this for at least 30 years. And part of our challenge that the students for the month focused on was taking care of hearts by being physically active every day, maintaining a healthy diet, getting at least 10 hours of sleep each night, staying away from smoke, learning the warning signs of a stroke, and practicing CPR, which that was fairly new for us. Part of the endurance challenge is this grades 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th were challenged to jump rope for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes without making a mistake. We did have a few staff members, as you can see in the picture, that got into it as well. I will tell you it was competition between the two adults in that picture, but the female won that one. But it was really great to see the staff come in and kind of do some jump roping activities. Students practiced on CPR during PE class, and that was a great opportunity for the students. And a lot of times I saw some parents, they were kind of saying that their children were coming home talking more about that, have interest in that area. Our students over $14,633.84 this year alone to research programs in education, heart disease, and we were a part of the top 20 on the American Challenge Leaderboard. And I won't read all the names that we had. Each grade had a top individual fundraisers, but each, the whole school was participating, but each grade level had one top person. Then the top school fundraiser, we had 2 students that each raised $3,100. So we had 2 winners, Madison Hudson and Lorelei Elam. So they are pictured there with Mrs. Withen. And our top class was Mrs. Rose's 3rd grade class. And then at the end of the month, we had a Kids Lunch Awards Assembly, which was very exciting. We had the art station to come out, and we had a big old heart person that was the costume. And all the students that were top fundraisers, and a few other students chosen. And of course, you can see picturally, there was 2 staff members that got pies in their faces. And it was really fun. And I will say, most of the pies went to one of our on-site substitutes, which is a gentleman. He got pies in his face, but it was a great opportunity, and the kids always love that. And then we just have, this is on, there is a longer video, but we shortened it, but we're going to just give you a snippet. But if you want to go back, at enough time, but I'd like to share this with you.
And other cardiac procedures. Thank you guys so much for your support and your dedication, and you have truly impacted the lives of so many others, including mine.
I have a special heart. Thank you for Gary. This fundraiser means like helping kids that need heart surgeries. It makes me feel good to help those kids.
Question. What does the AHA fundraiser mean to you?
Well, it means people coming together to do a good thing. Like they help me. Because I am a hard boy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And the people who've been sitting in the very back all evening are now welcome to come forward as they're going to share with us a presentation on related to April being Financial Literacy Month. Mr. Austin, are you leading the group? Are you leading the group?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Austin Winkler. I'm the 8th grade school counselor at Powhatan Middle School. We did a presentation on Real Money World. Our student representative tonight is 8th grader Macy Farrow. She was good enough to attend on the day of her birthday. So, kudos to her for coming out tonight. And I'll let...
Thank you. I'm Kathy Howland. I work with the local extension office as a 4-H extension agent. And I think we're ready to... I see. Okay, we were wondering how it worked. Yeah, thank you. Real Money, Real World. We were asked to do a quick presentation on this program because it's Financial Literacy Month. And we partnered on this program back in February, and it was for 340 8th grade students. The simulation is a program that is created by the Ohio State Extension and Virginia Extension, kind of adopted it about 8 years ago. It's all over the state now. So this interactive, fun, educational program, the 8th graders basically, they did a simulation all day. We're collateral in and out day, but we didn't actually have lessons, 4 classroom lessons provided by health and PE teachers in their classrooms. So it was a really collaborative event. So that's all I'm going to say right now, and I'll pass that on to...
Yes. So we've been doing this for 15 years, actually. I talked to Terry Baldwin, and we've been doing it for a while. So we just figured it's that time for students to really, they're getting to be young adults now. They're 14, and need to know what goes to adulthood and parent finances. Some of the stations that were around in the gym, this one was contributions, but the big ones were transportation, housing, adjournment, child care, all of those things that go into, wow, these are all the costs that go into becoming an adult. Going into the classroom as well, I did some lessons in major clarity on career exploration as well, going over things like Holland codes and those kinds of things, as well as going into career and academic plans for the high school and preparing them for the high school. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that as well.
So before we started going into the gym and doing the actual thing, we had in our health room we had part 1, our 4 preparatory classroom lessons, which kind of give us our work, our jobs, our children, and all of that. She kind of my teacher kind of explained how the bills and stuff worked and how you're gonna all of that stuff. And part 2, a hands-on budget, which is where we got like our actual like worksheets. I was a salesperson. I made $22,000 and I had a 4-year-old. It was not easy.
So part 2 is in the chat, the big
Yeah.
session of community
Yeah.
volunteers.
And part 3, a post-session evaluation of it, was our choices of like what we had to do and how that kind of affected how we actually wanted to live. Like personally, my dream is to have like a big land with a little white house in it from like The Notebook, and that I could not achieve with my job. I got a 2-bedroom apartment, used like a little, I think it was a truck, I'm pretty sure. And I think I got quite a bit of entertainment, but it was hard. We'll say that. It's like the paper where we had to put like all of our car bills, our house bills, our like everything that we did, and then the payment we had to subtract from our actual balance, and then there was like a middle table in like the middle of the gym where you could go up and ask for more money when we really needed it. And the booth volunteer initials, that's where all of like where we went around the tables, we had to get that signed after we did the actual table. And the picture up there, that is the housing. That's the housing area. The picture down there, I'm pretty sure is for like our cars and stuff. But yeah. Hello? And then that's engagement videos.
So I just interviewed 2 students real briefly too about, one question was, what are your takeaways? The other one was, what was the hardest decision you had to make from this? So.
What was the most interesting thing that you learned from the Real Money Real World program?
The most interesting thing that I learned from the program was how my decisions are going to impact my future life in the real world.
And what was the toughest decision that you had to make during the Real Money Real World program?
The toughest decision that I made was whether to buy the luxury items or the on-budget items for my kids and myself, and whether I should buy a house or a more affordable apartment for the future.
What was the most interesting thing you learned from Real Money Real World?
Most interesting thing I learned is probably to have save money and how important it is to save money because it affects a lot in the long run, and it's okay to make decisions to not buy the best looking things because it helps you save money and makes you buy more stuff like food stuff for kids in the future.
And what was the toughest decision you made in the Real Money Real World program?
The toughest decision was probably picking a house or picking a car because I still had to be able to provide for a kid and stuff and make sure there's room and everything. So that was probably the most difficult because everything costs so much. And I still had to save money for everything else. And I think it helped me learn a lot with like everything I needed like prepare for in the future and stuff.
Some of our students that had Mr. Winkler had gone around and asked, what did we learn in this program? One of our people, like most students have said, children cost a lot of money. I think it costs a lot. The difference between wants and needs, how many deductions / taxes are taken out of your paycheck. And if you have a cheap car, your insurance is cheaper.
I don't think I have enough fingers on both of my hands to count the amount of times can I put my kid up for adoption.
It was definitely a thought that crossed my mind.
Aren't you glad your parents didn't think of that?
If those were really the most popular answers overall, they came in all different sorts. This was another question that they were asked on the evaluation. How likely, after experiencing this program, the Real Money, Real World, how likely were they to get more training after high school or education after high school? And I realized we didn't finish the pie chart when we submitted it. So I have those. So 17% said they were not likely to get education or further their education. 23% somewhat likely. 23% also said no change. They'd already planned to go to get more education or training. And then 48% they were very likely to further their education or training. So we thought that was interesting as well. One big of this was the collaboration and the partnership. And it wasn't just between Powhatan Middle School and we had 3.25 years at the school, and they gave up an entire day of work and whatever. We had members of the Lions Club, we had members of the Chamber of Commerce, some local business owners. We had banking staff there. Lots of were interested, credit unions, Navy Credit. We had, who else did we have? Oh, county government. County government had given staff, if they were interested in volunteer, they get, I guess, 1 day of community service. And so we had about 5 different staff members from the county government that came and volunteered. Mrs. Garrett, Catherine Garrett, was there, so we were thrilled to see her as well. But it's just a really great way to let our communities see what's going on in the schools and see what they're learning. And they were, all of them were just thrilled to be there and begging me to come back next year. So good thing. So that's about it. Do you have anything else to share? And we wanted to thank Laura McFarland for use of her pictures. They're much better than mine for the that. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
No, I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
As someone who has volunteered for this several years, I recommend if you get a chance to do it. It is entertaining, but it's some of the kids you see, they're kind of like, oh, wait. Once they have spent, it's a checkbook register almost that y'all are filling out, and it's deducting everything, and they're like, oh, oops, I don't have any food yet this month, and I've already spent all my money. So if you get a chance to volunteer, it's a wonderful experience.
It is fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Sir.
This is my wonderful and beautiful granddaughter. I'm proud of her, and thank you for inviting her to speak. Yesterday, she played for Powhatan Middle School. She's her first one of the kids.
Yay!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yes. Thank you for bringing her and bringing your grandpa.
Thank you, Mr. Winkler and Miss Howland. We have. Thank you.
He knows.
I texted him.
Okay.
I have a feeling the wind is creating some issues.
Mr. Mecca.
Yeah, he got mine. He's
Mr. Mecca, are we good on the internet? Is it? Okay, as good as it's going to get tonight. I guess the web.
or the host computer.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. update on the school meals due to the legislative change.
Yes, due to legislative changes for 25, 26, and beyond, here's a, and I know Mrs. Holloway was planning on being here this evening, but she went home earlier. And so I'll kind of run through this for you. Whereas I know that, I'm sorry, that's right.
Dorothy.
Come up, Dorothy. I was going to say, as I look at this, I'm like, no, this was your product. This is a presentation resulting from some of the changes been proposed by legislation. And I've been in some meetings with Dorothy, and I know from their dietitian and so on that they already been planning for some of these changes and thought it was good for our families to at least hear an update of where we are as far as a school division because of the work of Sodexo, get ahead of the curve on these changes that are coming. Thank you.
Yes, so just to let you know, to go through the agenda, I'm going to overview of our current school SDA requirements. We're going to talk a little bit about Sodexo standards, updates on the school meal starting July 21st, 2025, and updates to the school meal starting July 1st, 2027. What is the current impact and our manufacturer and Sodexo implementation? So currently, right now, we have meal components for both breakfast and lunch. And what it has is it's 5 components, which requires us to offer our students at each meal a fruit, a protein, a milk, a vegetable, and a grain. We participate what's called offer versus served. Offer versus served allows students to decline some food items that are served at meals, promotes student choice so they get what they want, reduces food waste, food costs, which saves money, and we must still offer all 5 components in the required quantities for the specific meal. Students must still leave the line with a complete meal. For the meal to be reimbursable, students must take a half a cup portion of fruit or vegetable, and we use signs to guide students in selecting a reimbursable meal. Here's one requirement that we have is that all vegetable subgroups must be provided weekly in correct quantities, and it must be provided in these colors. Dark green vegetables are beans, peas, lentils, red, orange, starchy, and others. So as you can see, we have quite a few requirements currently for that we're currently following. Our calorie minimums and maximums, as you can see here, for example, is our calorie mid-max is for K through 5 is 350 to 500. It's 400 to 550 for 6th through 8th and 450 to 600 for the 9th through 12th. Now lunch, of course, is going to be a little higher, which is 550 to 650 in max calories, 600 to 700 for grades 6 through 8, and 9 through 12 is 750 to 850. We do have a weekly standard fat that must be less than 10% of all total calories. Our whole grain requirements is a minimum of 80% of grains served weekly must be whole grain rich. And what whole grain rich means, the grain is made with at least 50% of whole grains. Our current weekly average sodium limits per meal, our sodium limits include all components of the meals, including entree, grain, fruit, vegetable, and milk. So if you can see here, our current sodium limits is we cannot have any greater than 540 milligrams a K5, 600 for 6 through 8, and 640 through 9 through 12 just for breakfast. For lunch, K through 5 is 1,110 milligram, 6 through 8 is 1,225, and 9 through 12 is 1,280. So you can see that we are definitely watch our sodium limits. Our current added sugar limits, there is no added sugar limits for schools' breakfast and lunch programs, but we do have a total sugar limit for preschools, and our preschool limit is for cereals 6 grams or less per dry ounce, and yogurts 23 grams or less per 6 ounces. Our a la carte offerings must meet our smart snack requirements in order to be sold at all schools. It is on the internet where you can go to the smart snack calculator and see any smart snack that would qualify. And it has to qualify in the sense of calories, 200 calories or less, sodium, 200 milligrams or less, total fat, 35% of calories or less, saturated fat, less than 10% of calories, 0 trans fat, and total sugars must be 35% by weight or loss. Sodexo has their own standards where we follow more than just USDA standards for school meals. Sodexo has sustainable goals including reducing food waste, increasing plant-based options on menus. We just rolled out our new Kitchen Bites menu at the elementary school last month, which really provides a plant-based option. We've had some really good reviews on that. Our other 2 programs at the middle school and high school, we rolled out a plant-based when we rolled out those new programs last year and the year before that. We do not do any deep frying or pan frying. We strive to minimize the use of fats in our cooking methods. We run promotions like Fresh Picks to showcase produce and introduce students to new fruits and vegetables. We post monthly wellness messages at each of the schools. Only purchase cage-free eggs. So the big question that a lot of folks have been talking about is, of course, the updates that you've seen a lot of. One of the updates that a lot of folks aren't aware of is on July 1st, 2025, we will implement a product-based added sugar limits for all school nutrition programs. So our breakfast cereals must have no more than 6 grams of added sugars per dry ounce. Our yogurts may have no more than 12 grams of added sugars per ounce, and the flavored milks may not have no more than 10 grams of added sugar per 8 ounces. And that actually starts here in July 1st with the new school year. What a lot of folks are worrying about and had a lot of questions about is the updates to school meals starting July 1st, 2027. We decrease in sodium limits, which is a 15% reduction for lunch and approximately 10% reduction for breakfast from current sodium limits. So just to give you an example, our current sodium limits for K5 is 540. Our sodium limit for July 1st will be in 2027, 485. And for lunch, if you look at the high school, currently at 180, we dropped down 1,080 milligrams. The biggest question now is the updates to school meals starting for July 1st, 2027, when the bill passed on March 21st, 2025, that will prohibit certain color additives from being in school meals, snacks, and a la carte items. And the colors, the school color additives that they're talking about is blue 1 and 2, green 3, red 3 and 40, yellow 5 and 6. The bill will go into effect on July 1st, 2027 to give manufacturers time to reformulate their products. So our current impact with these new legislations coming out is that the food products with color edges in our school breakfast and lunch programs are minimum. So currently our menus that we service, that we offer all the students do not have any type of color additives and have not had color additives in them. What does have color additives is our breakfast, a couple items at breakfast, which is our Lucky Charms cereal, our Fruit Loops cereal, our Blueberry Pop-Tarts, and our Blueberry Nutri-Grain bars. Now our a la carte items, which are an optional purchase and not part of the regular menu, has a couple items that do have the food additives in it: Doritos, Cheetos, Baked Ruffles, Gatorades, and Kickstarts. We are committed to compliance. We will continue to follow all state, local, and federal laws, and we will be ready to comply with new school food requirements by the implementation date. Actions have already been taken in several of our schools, including DC Public Schools. Industry trends and future changes, we are seeing more passing similar bills banning food dyes, including California. Manufacturers like General Mills and Kellogg's are currently making plans to reformulate their products to comply with these state regulations. Does anyone have any questions on that? One thing is what we're going to do is we're going to phase out the items that do have the color additives in it as we go along. We will have some issues phasing out Doritos and Lucky Charms, but we'll work on that.
Doritos, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The Doritos are a big one.
Oh, yeah.
So we will phase those out as time goes, and as our inventory goes down, we will phase out those prior to 2027 to the best of our ability to do that. And we will make sure we're ready to go on that. Any questions?
Dorothy, do we have right now some breakfast choices that have less than 6 grams of sugar per dry ounce?
Yes, we do. We do have some items that have less than 6 grams of offerings. We've just rolled out a new breakfast menu, which gave the students more choices. And in those choices was we offered a potato at each of the items, eggs, where we weren't offering eggs, so now we're offering eggs to the students. And it's just rolled out within the last 3 weeks, so we still don't have any data back, or we have not been able to do any surveys on the students and how they like our new menus. But we wanted to roll out a more basic type of breakfast. And we do have several items that are less than 6 grams.
And how about the yogurt with 12 grams of added sugar per 6 ounce? We have other choices.
We have not. We have
do
low
not.
sugar and non-fat yogurts that we offer. And I'll be honest with you, the yogurts are not that big of a taker. We do yogurt parfaits, which is with a low sugar requirement. We do the yogurt parfaits that you'll see in each of the schools that we make ourselves by a recipe. We use the low sugar ones that are less than 6 grams.
Well, that's good. That's good. And then the milk, the flavored milks?
So currently, the flavored milks are not less than 6 grams. That's the manufacturer is working on that. We work with Pet Dairy, and I know that they'll have that ready and rolled out by the new school year and by this summer school.
And is there anything that we do actually cook? I mean, you talked about cooking the eggs, but as far as you said, we don't deep fry.
We do have several recipes. A lot of our, like for example, today I had lunch over at the middle school, and one of our recipes was a Asian chicken, and it was all done through recipe from scratch. We do some things from scratch, not everything. We tend to not less because we use a lot of ready-to-eat type of food items, just because for this quality and consistency and making sure that they are meeting the requirements. But there is recipes, quite a few recipes, especially within the high school and the middle school. We offer a lot of cooking to that.
And, but we're limited because of what our kitchens can do, right?
Correct. One of the great things is we got a lot of new equipment this year, and we've been able to roll out just recently at the high school a made-to-order deli, and we're just like Subway and panini sandwiches, where the students can pre-order a deli sandwich that has been toasted or paninied and grilled, and it's made their way. They get on the Google Doc, and they send it in to us exactly how they want it, and it's all made fresh and ready to go for them.
Has that been popular?
It started out, yes, very popular. We're going to actually roll it out. We're really hoping not only does it help alleviate the lines, because students really don't have a lot of time for lunch. They only have 20 minutes for us. So what we're trying to do is alleviate the lines, have no contact. It's basically a no contact, so that leaves no lines for them to create, and they're able to get through and get out pretty quickly. We've had some students, they're starting to really it takes a while for kids to catch on. We got it hooked on ClassLink now. We're hooking on Schoology. My goal is to help bring in the teachers. We really want to increase our teachers participating in the line so that they can see what we offer the students also.
Thank you. All right. Board, any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Dorothy, thank you so much. Great presentation. In regards, I'm also on the Health and Wellness Committee here for the schools, so we're pretty excited about the new law that has been, signed into effect for Virginia with the dyes, and also being a nurse, very concerned about so much of the prepackaged foods that have not necessarily the dyes, but a lot of the general public is not aware. Prepackaged foods have so many different other chemicals, freshness stabilizers and things as such. And so I hope that as we move forward, we can continue, like you said, you're offering, meal that you're cooking from scratch. And I always remember having great memories of walking into a school building and smelling those fresh rolls, that the kitchen, staff was making. So, where we're using real wheat and yeast and things like that. So, definitely hope that we're continuing to moving in that direction. Because that's, even when we had some of our local catastrophes and we don't have water, like the city of Richmond didn't have water for for several days, my concern are for those people who really don't know how to eat, correctly because they don't know how to cook. So, kudos to you and the program of our future chefs, that we've had. So I think those are great skills. And also having the children participate to try something, at least once or twice. And so maybe we could come up with some fun programs, because I'm sure as the kids, you probably see that they'll go out on the line, they're like, ew, that looks yucky. I'm not going to try that. But then if, we could have some kind of a fun game or something, okay, well, try this little sample. And then they may just find out, like Mikey, hey, he likes it. So I know you've got a great job ahead of you, and you've been doing, fabulous, fabulous work. So thank you.
Thank you. Hope this was helpful.
Thank you, Mrs. Kohler.
Thank you. All right, now moving on to our next agenda item is public comment period. In accordance with School Board Policy BDDH and KD, any resident of Powhatan County or PCPS staff member may address the board during public comment. The board chair will call speakers who have signed up for the podium. Speakers must stay at the podium and wait to be recognized by the chair. Each individual will have 3 minutes, or delegations will have 5 minutes to provide their comments. Please respect this time limitation so others may address the board. And note, no one may sign up to speak and then relinquish their speaking time to another or previous speaker. A maximum of 30 minutes will be designated for public comment this evening. Please address your comments to the board as a whole, not individual board members, the audience, or the staff. Please begin by stating your name and complete address. The board requests that all speakers maintain an environment that promotes listening and respect. The board will not respond to or address issues raised by speakers during public comment, and speakers are reminded that the board chair is authorized to stop or remove any speaker who uses vulgar, disruptive, or threatening language. Your acceptance and adherence to these guidelines will be greatly appreciated. All speakers who wish to participate must sign up before the public comment period begins, providing their name and address. Speakers will be announced by the board chair to approach the podium to speak, and only those individuals who have signed up in advance will be able to approach the podium. If speakers have handouts or information for the board, please give these to the school board clerk before approaching the podium. First speaker, David Robinson. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is David Robinson. I live at 3562 Old Buckingham Road, Powhatan, Virginia. I am the chairman of the Powhatan County Republican Committee. Our committee over the last several months have been working and going into the School Board Member Alliance, looking at what they're doing. We put forth a proclamation to our committee, and our committee voted unanimously to put forth a proclamation to the school board, and I'm here tonight to read that proclamation. The proclamation of Powhatan County Republican Committee 1-25. Whereas the Powhatan County Republican Committee is committed to ensuring that the students of Powhatan County receive the highest quality education, prioritizing academic excellence, merit-based achievement, and parental involvement. And whereas The School Board Member Alliance advocates for academic excellence, merit-based education, parental rights, safe and political-free classrooms, local control, strong teachers, and data-driven decision-making. And whereas the Virginia School Board Association does not align with these core values and priorities that best serve our students, parents, and educators in Powhatan County. And whereas the Powhatan School Board has the responsibility to affiliate with an organization that reflects both the interests and values of our community and also promotes policies that enhance student success and teacher support. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Powhatan County Republican Committee strongly recommends that the Powhatan School Board withdraws its membership from the Virginia School Board Association and instead join the School Board Members Alliance in order to better serve the interests of the Powhatan County students, parents, and educators. Accepted this April the 10th, 2025 by the Powhatan Republican Committee. We had our members from every district sign this. I will be providing a copy to you as I leave, ma'am. My second part that I'd like to talk about tonight is I've been in this county since 1974. 1974. I sat right there as a chairman of the school board in the 90s. And one of the things that occurred, our Board of Supervisors just approved about a 12% tax increase for all our citizens in Powhatan. Our school system is a great system. We're in the top 30% in Virginia out of about 135 school districts. I believe we can do better than that as a school system and a school board. But I also believe that we as citizens and as you all as elected officials need to ensure that every dollar that is spent in our school system is being spent for the right things. And I challenge you, as Thomas Jefferson said, I place economy among the first and the most important Republican virtue, and public debt as the greatest danger to be feared. You know, I heard a presentation tonight about our roof. We got a roof that needs to be fixed. We need to fix that roof, folks. You know, when I look at our school system, we got 52 million, and we've got another, I think this coming year, between 55 and 60 million dollars. So I challenge you all as a school board to ensure that we're prudently budgeting our money. We establish community trust, that we're transparent in everything that we do, and that we maximize the impact by prioritizing our spending on instructional quality. I believe in 100% that we need to give our students the best education they can get. But I do know this, that there is waste in that money somewhere. And I challenge you to put forth a blue ribbon committee. I did this about 3 years ago, maybe 4. Put forth a committee that come in and aid you all in looking for ways that we can improve efficiency and effectiveness. Now, you know, I know of this board that the majority of you all are conservative, which the majority of the people in Powhatan County vote 72% that way. I challenge you to please look for next year ways to improve efficiency and effectiveness and help the taxpayers in the county, but ensure quality education for our students. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, school board members.
Thank you. Tammy C.
Hello, school board.
Good evening.
Tammy C., District 1. We were supposed to have had a due process in 2024. However, the law firm, as you know, breached my son's records. Most recently, we were supposed to have had another due process this week, open to the public, which I had given several subpoenas out. And we were granted withdrawal today because the law firm is obstructing our FOIA for my son's records. Quick question for you to think about. Why is it that taxpayers have to pay for FOIA request. You're paying someone. So stay tuned as we have submitted another due process. Hopefully this one will not be obstructed. So it was stated last week under oath in federal court, 2 board members or members admitted they have never read a due process. Even more alarming, one testified that all emails go into a file that is controlled by this law firm and they never see them. That explains a lot. Now, parents pour their hearts into emails about racism, bullying, special education needs, only to be ignored. Not because the board doesn't care, but because you never see the emails, I hope. Ask yourself, why does a law firm control your communication with us? The answer is simple. It's called money. Sands Anderson profits when we're frustrated, when we file lawsuits and due processes. They benefit from the system being broken. It don't take a rocket scientist. And yet we're told that it's our advocate, Candace Lucas. But parents have tried other advocates, and the outcome is the same. Silence. They hit a brick wall. We send polite emails, we ask for meetings, we beg, but if you never see those emails, how can anything change? And yet we're told our due processes are frivolous, but how can they be if the board never even saw them? Problems in the first place. Maybe if the board got the emails and the concerns were addressed, there would be definitely less and perhaps no due processes. But instead, we're stuck in this endless, vicious hamster wheel where no accountability, no transparency, just delay, deny, and defend. Board members, take back your power. Demand access to the messages. Stop letting the lawyers and the superintendent run your board. Attorneys don't belong at the IEP tables. IEP shouldn't be predetermined. That's collaboration and it's coercion.
Thank you. Kathy Halverson.
Good evening, Board. Kathy Halverson, Powhatan, Virginia, here tonight to speak on matters that should concern every parent, educator, taxpayer in Powhatan County. As you all know, I submitted a request for records that were ordered by a judge to be provided in full. What I received was a zip drive containing various PDF files. But instead of bringing clarity, those files raise even more questions, and serious ones at that. Problem number one, there's an audit record that includes Dorothy Tribble showing a change history spanning from September 2021 to June of 2024. I find that incredibly troubling, especially considering that 2021 was the beginning of serious issues for our family, issues that led to the need of private placement, legal intervention, and eventually federal court in June of 2024. Why does this document span the exact time frame? What was being changed and why? Problem number two, there are records for Halverson with a change history noted on June 11th, 2024. Yet looking at the events recorded for 21 and 22, October 2021, early dismissal, November 2021, COVID-related restriction, excused absences, and then home-based services starting December 2021 through January of 2022. The timeline once again raises flags. Why are changes being made in 2024 to records from back in 21 and 22? Problem number three, there's documentation showing that in October of 2021, It says Halverson was dropped from his classes, yet a report card from 4th grade during that very period exists and is signed by Tom Sulzer. How does a student receive a report card from classes he was supposedly dropped from? Problem number 4, even more puzzling. There's another report card from the same 21-22 4th grade school year, and it lists Dr. Samantha Martin as principal. But Dr. Martin wasn't even hired until July of 2024. How can she be listed as principal 3 years before she was employed? So tonight, I stand here, not as just as a parent, but as a taxpayer of Powhatan County, someone who has had to navigate this broken system firsthand. All of you know who I am. Most of everybody in this county knows my name. And tonight I am here to tell you why we took the actions we did. We took them because no one, not the school district, not its administrators, not even this board, is above the law. We stood up and fought not just for our child, but for all the children in Powhatan County and the state of Virginia. Children whose families might not have the resources, time, or knowledge to push back when their rights are violated. We fought to ensure that state and federal laws were followed. That transparency was honored.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. Connie Thompson, District 4. I come to you tonight as a concerned conservative constituent. I realize that few conservative parents attend these meetings, but they voted for you and their expectations that you will vote according to those values you espoused when you ran for office. That being said, I have concerns about two particular items. One is membership in the VSBA. Having researched this association a few months back, I do not believe this group reflects the values of the majority of Powhatan parents and other residents. I strongly recommend not to renew your membership in this group. Instead, again having researched, I urge all of you to become members of the School Board Members Alliance, where you receive many of the same benefits as the more liberal aforementioned group. Secondly, I am shocked over the hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on legal fees. Have you researched a better way of settling disputes than running to the phone to fork out exorbitant fees? It is my understanding that $500,000 could be spent in ways that better benefit our students. And why must we be tied to Sands Anderson for legal advice? Are there no other firms that offer sound legal counsel? Although these meetings are not widely attended, the public sees what you say and how you vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, let's move on down to our superintendent's report.
Yes, I'll ask if there's any questions related to the monthly financial report. All right, then I'll move on. Dr. Stewart, I know, is here. Oh, and Mrs. Engel are here to answer some questions and be able to give kind of an update on the elementary language arts update that you all requested last month. Still smiling. Good.
Our new highly qualified instructional materials into reading by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. I'd like to share some updates on input from our teachers. We've asked our K-5 teachers to complete surveys on each module for into reading. Based on this valuable feedback, we are making several key adjustments to align our curriculum and support our students while also adhering to the Virginia Literacy Act requirements. First, we are revising the pacing of unit modules to help meet the developmental needs of our students. Next, we are identifying and integrating instructional tools such as graphic organizers that best support student comprehension and writing skills. In addition, we are aligning writing tasks to reading skills when appropriate and adjusting the pace of daily lessons to include more time for skills practice, both individually and in small groups for instruction. To further streamline and enhance instruction, we are reducing the amount of worksheets used, focusing instead on more engaging methods. Lastly, we are adjusting the assessment components for each of the modules. Teachers have requested some simple supply items to support structured literacy and comprehension instruction. We will be working with schools to secure these resources for our teachers. Our reading team is currently working on adjusting the pacing for next year based on current teacher feedback. These changes reflect our ongoing commitment to improving student outcomes and ensuring our curriculum is responsive to both academic standards and the needs for our diverse learners. Any questions?
Any questions, board?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Hurd?
So the resources, you mentioned something for the teachers that they may need.
They have requested enlarging some posters, some additional markers and things like that that they needed for structured literacy work.
Okay.
Some simple things that we can take care of.
Well, are there things that aren't so simple that they need that would have better results for the students?
Not that we've gotten from our teachers up to this
Okay.
point.
Thank you.
Ms. Wade? Dr. Taylor?
Well, I guess the only question I would have is, I assume this fits within the proposed budget for this upcoming year, the extra
yes.
needs?
Yes, it does.
Good.
Ms. Ward?
I don't have any comments at this time.
Are there any components of this reading program that we did not purchase? Or did we pretty much get everything on the first buy?
We pretty much got the whole kit and caboodle on the first go around. There were some supplemental books that we did not purchase, but aside from that, we've got pretty much everything else that's with the basic program.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Madam Chair,
Yes.
something did come to mind. So the training that our teachers have received with this, do we feel that that's adequate? Do we need to revisit that? I have had several parents come to me in regards to workbooks that have been sent home with their students that aren't being used. So if you could, elaborate on some information with that, because if we have a tool, we need to make sure that we're using them appropriately and that our students are getting the best, results from what we've purchased. And if we need more education in regards to the faculty being able to understand it, that would be helpful.
And I do feel like we have sufficient training for our teachers. Our coaches meet with them weekly to do planning and questions like that as far as workbooks not being completed or things like that. We've addressed that to make sure, because those are consumable materials. So if there was a misunderstanding somewhere along the way, I think we've clarified that in regard to that specific concern.
Okay, and the testing, the little quizzes, I understand we're doing interim testing.
Yeah, so there's lots of different little assessments that go on, but we have a main assessment that's a common assessment that we give pretty much every 3 weeks. Now, we've adjusted that as well. That was our initial plan, that we would give those module assessments with the module every 3 weeks. We took some teacher feedback and we kind of came back on some of that throughout the course of the year, and we're adjusting. That's one of the things that we are going to be adjusting for next year, to kind of limit some of the bigger assessment pieces that we've incorporated, trying to align our program with the Virginia literacy requirements by using the program as it's meant to be used.
Okay, because I would also like to make sure that we have consistency with each school.
Yes.
I have also, see, I knew once it clicked in, I was going to rock and roll here. A parent who's had information from other schools that one school might be grading and doing more, applying more of the the actual grades and assessments versus another school.
Well,
So-
and one of the things that we do, there are certain requirements that everybody's supposed to do, that every school is supposed to do, that we have asked for, and then there may be some additional little assignments here and there that teachers may opt to do. So that may be where they may have a few more grades or a few less grades depending on the building, but the bigger grades are the things that we have set forth and that are in common, that we do have across the board. Did that answer your question?
It does, and hopefully it just reiterates just to have the consistency across, all of our schools so that every child is being equally graded, to their aptitude that they can do versus maybe another school didn't do it because that's not how they're working it in their school.
And we are going to revisit that. We are continuously going through all of the pieces and parts of this program, making sure that we are aligned across the division. So being this is their first year, we're taking all that feedback into account, and we'll make sure that we are better aligned.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Would you say, Ms. Engel, that it's going to take about 3 years to get all the kinks worked out and the likes, the dislikes, circling back around to those components that by just being more familiar with and using them, and ease of using the components will make a difference?
Yes, ma'am. I do think it will take about 3 years to get to that point. Because like I said, we're taking the feedback now. We're going to make adjustments for next year. We'll take that feedback and make adjustments as needed. And then people will be more comfortable with the resources and the implementation.
And when they get more comfortable, they begin to like the program better, don't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Hurd.
That kind of worries me a little bit, like 3 years, because, we have a real problem, I mean, not just us, it's national. Is there any way, extra training for teachers that we could speed that up?
Well, I say 3 years for alignment, not necessarily for what our kids are getting. Our kids are getting the quality instruction for sure. That part.
Yeah, you're going to see the difference in the kids. But basically what we're addressing, I think, is the efficiency of the program by the teachers getting more used to what they're using as compared to what they had before.
Right. And just like with a new resource, it may have taken them longer to get adjusted to how to use this tool, this tool, this tool. As they're getting more comfortable with it, they're becoming more efficient with how they implement those tools. And we're finding the things that, maybe we get a bigger bang for a buck with this activity and not this one, because HMH has a ton of stuff. Like it's a lot of stuff that we've weeded out to be able to just use the main thing to get started. And that's one of the things that we're doing with their surveys with teachers, is trying to find what they like and what they feel works and what doesn't work and what actually is working and not working. And, using the different pieces and trying to fit this into the different spots, different tools into different spots. But we are getting good results. So I'm not going to say that, I'm not saying that they're not getting what they need. I'm just saying, like, what we were talking about was that the efficiency of how the tools are being used is getting better.
I just want to help the teachers become as efficient as possible,
Yes.
as quickly as possible.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes it just takes a little time.
Right, but I mean, hopefully, there's something we can do to help them along possibly. When you say 3 years, that just is like nails on a chalkboard to me in the old-fashioned way.
Well, I think that's to be totally comfortable. Like, I think for everybody to be totally comfortable, because we are continuously looking at and adjusting things, if that makes sense.
And that's not outcome you're talking about. We're not talking about outcome for the students.
No.
We're talking about the teachers and
I
the
know.
use of the program.
Yes, yeah.
One thing.
Two different things.
Well, one thing, and it's not, don't hear me wrong, this is nationwide, but for the state of Virginia, and I know y'all well know this data, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, an NAEP score, the state of Virginia, that has been dropping since 2017. And that in my research, that's really scary to me. And then, I'm going to say this in my comments tonight. As soon as school is out, I would like to know where each grade level at each school, elementary, stands on below grade performance, so we can kind of compare to last year.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can see hey, did we make some progress? And I mean, I know we're kind of comparing apples to oranges because last year's third graders or this year's fourth graders, but still, that that still gives you some sort of data to look at to say, oh, are the percents below grade level dropping down?
Right. And we will have that data for you. It will be different because we have different assessments this year than
Right,
what we
I'm
had in
aware of
previous
that.
years, and the VALS assessment has changed.
Right, it's VALS and not PALS. I know.
Right, and so there'll be some differences, but we will be able to provide you with that
And
information.
one question that we haven't talked about, a lot of research I've done, eighth graders are really in a lot of trouble. And I know HMH isn't dealing with eighth graders. That has been identified from my research as a really big problem. Have we noticed, I mean, how are we standing looking in Powhatan schools for eighth graders? Because the articles and research I've done and podcasts I've listened to, these eighth grade kids are going into high school and they really can't read. They can't comprehend because they don't have all the skills, and I don't know all the reading, stuff you're supposed to say that explains that. So are we seeing that in Powhatan in eighth grade, and what are we doing for eighth graders?
Well, we are not seeing a huge weakness in our eighth grade population. I don't feel like we have that weakness there. And I do say as they go into ninth grade, we are seeing that they are prepared for ninth grade, and and I can speak to the writing performance assessment scores that the current ninth graders just did. They did very well. And so I do think that they are coming in more prepared every year. And I think with the Virginia Literacy Act, I think that is having an impact on that as well. We do have intervention, some small interventions in place for the middle school. We have a reading course for students with disabilities. We have supports for other students with reading weaknesses that are reading coach supports. So we are providing services for students who need assistance there. But it's not a huge deficit.
Well,
but I can get you better numbers.
That's okay. That's fine. Well, the tier 2 support that we're doing, and it's late, and I forgot, and it starts with an S.
Spire.
Yeah, I knew it'd start with an S. I was thinking like Sprite. No, that's not it. Is that working well? Because I mean, if someone doesn't get it using HMH, you don't keep trying. Insanities keep trying to teach them the same way and expect they're going to get it.
Right.
So is that program working well for us? Are there any issues? Do teachers need further training in that?
No, I mean, yes, it is working well for us. I don't think we need further training. I will say that we have built a staff who is very well trained, and I think that new people that come in, that we will be able to take care of the training for those new folks that come in. Our students are progressing from level to level. So we are seeing growth with our Spire program, yes.
And I understand Mrs. Jarman was responsible for this, is keeping a track record on a student. So just because they move from one grade to the next, we have the information about that student, the prior years and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So we can keep tracking a child, that we don't go, oh my gosh, they're weak.
Right.
Well, they were weak last year. So we know that going into the next grade level. So
Yes,
that, I think.
we do. We have that data.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Oh, and next year we are going to be starting a remediation earlier in the school year. Yeah, in September.
Any other questions? No? No? All right, moving right along.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Next up is Mrs. Jarman, and she's going to give a really quick update, just as a reminder, not only to the board, but to our community about the changes in the adopted 2025-26 calendar. We've really tried to communicate that. Our principals have done a great job including information every Sunday, but we know that not everyone actually reads and listens their Sunday messages, so we're just trying every avenue because there were significant changes with regard to the number of days, the length of a school day, and those transitionals starting at the beginning of the school year, K, 6th, and 9th graders. So thank you, Mrs. Jarman.
Thank you. Quick recap. For elementary school, the first day of school for our pre-K and K students for last names A through M will be the 18th. Grades 1 through 5 will also attend on the 18th. For that pre-K, K, just A through M. On August 19th will be our the latter half of the alphabet of our pre-K and K students N through Z. It will be the second day of school for our 1st through 5th graders. And then August 20th would be the second day of school for all pre-K and K. So it's either for pre-K, K, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For secondary, August 18th is going to be the first day of school for our 6th and 9th graders. It will just be 6th and 9th grade in the building, the 18th. The 19th, it will be the first day of school for the rest of the grades for middle and high school, and the second day of school for 6th and 9th grade. So that was the big change with starting schools this year in our calendar. The second big change was to add 10 minutes to the school day to give 3 days for teachers to look at wellness as well as planning time, extra planning time. So with the additional 10 minutes, this is our proposed time, start time and dismissal time for our schools. Elementary drop-off would start at 8:25 with a start time of 8:40 with dismissal at 3:30. For middle school, drop-off would start at 7:20. The start time would be 7:35 and dismissal would be 2:25. And for high school, drop-off would be 7:25, a start time of 7:40, and dismissal at 2:30 p.m. So those are our proposed times with 10 extra minutes added to our school day. Any questions?
Board, any questions? No, going once, going twice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Dagan?
The next item on the superintendent's report is related to a sick leave bank. Conversations have come up both at the teacher advisory committee, as well as I know staff members have reached out to some of the school board members to really talk about bringing back the sick leave bank. We were able to pull some prior information from what I've been able to ascertain, that the sick leave bank seemed to be eliminated in 2009, 2010 school year, in that school year. And the reason that it was eliminated at that time originally it was just going to be a 1 year, and I don't think it ever, there's no evidence that it came back after that. But in 2009-10, they were taking a year's break because at that time, and you'll remember there was the recession in 2008, so money was tight. And the cost that they had calculated for the sick leave bank was $91,000, and that did not include the cost of substitute teachers. And there's a lot of when you think about what happens with the sick leave bank, some things you can think were might have been covered, but there were people donated leave that they were going to lose because they hadn't used it, and that incurs more cost when you're then providing a substitute, and you're calling that as something that's going into a new fiscal year. There's a lot of, while there's limited information here, there's most of what's here is like the forms and so on that were used and the criteria that was established. But I would say that, one of the things was that the sick bank, people had to be a member of the sick bank for 6 months before they could use the sick bank. And, personally, with this year with budgeting, while I think it would be a good task this next year to really study this and come back with some recommendations, I'm not sure that we are in a financial place to be able to add the sick bank at this time, but I'm happy to try to answer questions. I've also provided some rules or some policies and regulations from a couple other very large school divisions that still currently have sick banks. I will also say that when 2009, 2010, the number of employees in different versions of VRS was very different. In 2014, at the beginning of that school year, anyone that was hired from that point forward is on what's called the hybrid plan, while the rest of us are on Plan 1 or Plan 2. Hybrid employees are not eligible for any type of sick bank because part of their VRS system and requirements is that they have short-term disability and long-term disability. And so that overrides the need for the sick leave. And so like I say, I'm happy to try to answer questions and get feedback.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mrs. Ward.
Dr. Tigan, question in regards to the membership. I'm not quite sure, I haven't had an opportunity, of course, to read all these documents, but so explain to me what and how the membership would work, and why would they need to, say, belong to the membership of the sick bank instead of it just being eligible for all employees?
Employees, when they choose to be a member of the sick bank, they have to contribute part of their sick leave to that to actually start and fund the sick leave bank. It's not like the division gives the staff the sick leave and says, here's 400 days to start with. The pool of days comes from other employees, so it's me helping, if I want to give it, it's me helping someone else.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's certain requirements around it, like most of them have like a 30-day or longer time period where they have to have exhausted, they have to use their own leave, been without pay if they exhausted it. And then after that, they could be eligible, but then they could only be eligible for 30 days or 45 days. It depends on whatever it's set up to be. And then they could access them, and then they would not be eligible for more to take from the sick bank again for 12 months from that time period. And like I say, there's different, that's more what we did in Powhatan from my reading of this. The number of days varies from one locality to another. And some of them, like some of the larger school divisions, require an initial payment of 2 sick days to get into the sick bank yourself. And then every time, usually there's a threshold set that when it falls below a certain level, then the people in the bank will pay another 1 day or 2 days, depending on how it's set, what is determined to be the number to put in. And I mean, we're a small division. I think that the 1 day is more appropriate for a small division. For large school divisions, 2 would be more appropriate. But, and then people have time periods where they can opt out, much like insurance. It's almost an open season by September 1, a new school year starts by September 1, maybe as a deadline for you to decide to join the bank. And you also have to exit the bank at that time. If you don't exit it, you're automatically debited to continue in the bank.
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Burke.
So is it 1 day per month, or how, it's 1 day, what's the time period that you?
It's usually 1 day per year until the bank
Oh,
gets
okay.
depleted to the point
So like
that.
September 1st at sign up, you would give your 1 day to the bank? And so if you're not in the bank, you're not eligible for this program.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to be in
Okay.
the bank and to be eligible. You know, I will say, and the much larger school divisions, Henrico, Chesterfield, I can say that I was a member of the sick bank, and personally, in those situations at that time, I was never asked to give additional days into the sick bank. Now, I realize that depends on what's happening with your staff, but just for a comparison, you know, in 17 years in Chesterfield, I gave my day, and, you know, it, maybe once during that 17 years they came back. I know in Henrico in 6 years, they never came back.
Okay, so that's making sense to me, so I'm understanding now. So basically, say there's 6 of us here, if we wanted to participate to be able to benefit from the bank, September 1, we would all donate 1 day, and that gives us the cumulative.
The pool to
The
start
cumulative
with.
pool. You don't necessarily have to say, okay, well, I know I never get sick, so I'm going to give my 10, and you give none, and you give none, and then you get,
No.
okay, so I'm understanding that now, so, okay.
And also, quick question. So where it is costing us money is that when you retire, you're not getting paid for all your sick time. You only get a part of that.
Right, you only get a portion of each day and a total of a 2-month period.
Right.
And so, you know, I will say, when I left Henrico, I had about a year's worth of leave. I could use it if I was sick for myself, but I would not get cashed out for that, you know, if I was not in a superintendent role.
So how
and-
much do we typically cash out on a typical, say, teacher employee on their sick
Well, I think
leave?
the policy is, I believe.
I didn't get to read all that
A
stuff.
third of the cost for a total of 2 months is what it would be. So it depends.
So 2 months, say
Right.
9 weeks, just rounding.
60 days. So it's 60,
You get,
well, it's probably only 20 days, work days and.
oh, that's right, work days.
Yeah, it's work days, so probably.
Okay,
20,
so that's
40
40 divided by 3 would be 13.
And so it depends on your
Yeah.
salary, you know.
Okay, so
First-year
that's where the
teacher-
cost is coming to us, that
Well-
people are donating days that if they retire, they probably would never get money for anyway.
Right, and there's people, you know, if they are not sick leave users, you know, we have a maximum number of sick leave days that can be carried over. Once you hit that max, then you go back down so that when you start the next year, well, you don't go back, you know, you get to where you're at the max, and then you take out from there. And so every year, there are people who throw away leave, but then if you know, so you think about, if you're using more leave, it's costing more than when you're taking, you know, when
Yeah,
people aren't using all of their leave.
Yeah, the
and then
people that
you're-
don't use their leave, it's not really costing us anything because they're limited when they retire, how
Right.
much they get.
And they don't get paid for it.
And they're not getting paid for it. So we're using that leave, that could be giving parts of that away, that we're having to pay. Obviously, the pay would be at that employee's rate.
Right. And I know there was also a question about the cost of the substitutes, but if I've had to max out, you know, that 30 days of an event, then I'm likely not going to have leave. So if I took more leave, it's leave without pay. So now you're paying for a sub and you're not saving the money. And it's not what you're, you know, it's just the reality of the finances
I
of
know,
it. I
just-
know, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So, but I just know there were questions about how to, you know, they're going to have a sub anyway. If I'm sick, I'm going to need a sub.
But you're right, if you're out and you're not getting paid because there's no bank, then basically the sub, you would get
saved
paid,
money.
you were saving. I know, but I don't want to save money on the
I
backs of our
understand that, but I just want
employees.
people to understand the
Right, I get
mathematics
it
of
now,
it.
I'm definitely, honestly, I think we should figure out a way that we do some sort of bank for our employees.
So I have a question, and it doesn't have anything to do with the bank. in my former employment many years ago, we just had a deal. I saw you had a need, and I had all this sick time, so I could donate my sick time to you. There was no bank. It was you were in a hardship. You definitely had to prove that you had a hardship to receive the donation, but there wasn't a bank and things of that nature. I have the time, you have the hardship. Can I give my time to you? And, I mean, other than substitutes, I'm not sure, but if that person was using their sick time anyway, so it's almost like a breaking even. Because let's say, you used all your sick time and I used all my sick time, then we're breaking even. But if I can give my sick time to you to help you out in a financial situation, I think that was more of I don't know anything about a bank and
Well, and
I don't like banks.
There are banks that work that way. I think where the cost comes in is if I have the leave to hand someone, most likely I wasn't going to use it.
Right.
So then you're paying for a sub that you wouldn't have had to have
But you
paid.
could have used it.
You could have, but all of this is based on the statistical
Right.
analysis of how leave gets
Right.
used. I just don't want people to think it's a
Even Steven.
right. There
I
will
agree.
be a cost.
I'm not
to it.
sure I
It
don't-
doesn't
yeah.
mean it's not the right thing to do. I mean, we've
Right.
talked about this at the teacher advisory for, at least 2 years. But trying to find the fiscal nature of the bank with our funding level just to me hasn't provided an opportunity. This gives it a concrete kind of value of what it might cost. And, and it can be done either two different ways, one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I wouldn't probably go, oh yeah, go ahead and take some of my sick time and put it in a bank just in case I might need it later, such and such might need it. But if I had someone that I was close with or someone that I knew was having severe problems and financial problems, it would help. It was offered to me when I was going out on maternity leave, and I didn't use it because I didn't need it. So, but it was the gesture that was almost enough to make it wonderful. Yeah, it was. So I didn't know if there was any way we could work that. I know it's, again, going to cost some, but at least it's helping our employees.
It absolutely helps
Yeah,
our employees.
definitely.
I will say in other areas where there's been that type of sick bank.
Right.
There becomes a rift when people offer some people
Right.
leave and not others.
I mean, that's just the risk you take.
There are some
I mean-
that use their sick leave really quickly and every year, and people tend not always to support them, and then
Right.
it becomes.
Well, I mean,
That's
if
usually
that's
why
the
those
case.
have gone away in my experiences, is because of all the negative feedback and
Right.
claims of discrimination for one reason or another against an individual.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be a problem, but people just get over it. Sorry.
Oh, no, we're fine. Anybody with some discussion on
Yeah,
this?
just real quick, let me interject a
Coach
thought.
Taylor?
I think obviously this went away for financial reasons in '09, and sounds like this would add hundreds of thousands of dollars to our personnel line. Am I correct? Potentially?
I mean, because of salary differences, if you use that 91,000, you would assume it would be closer to double that at this point, if not more, but
Yeah.
that's just using the data that they had at that time.
So I would agree with your initial statement that the financial streams, it would seem like it would be very difficult to implement this or even bring it to the forefront. That's not to say that I'm not necessarily for it. However, I want to ask an alternative, suggest an alternative. Is it possible that we could look into some sort of option for employees to buy into short-term, long-term disability through insurance versus just somehow through VRS? Is that an option?
They have that option.
They do have it now?
Every employee has that option, yes. It's a cost, but
Yeah,
you
well,
have that
obviously it's a
option,
cost.
yes.
to me, that sounds like makes all of, obviously the burden's completely on the employee, but that seems like a physically better option than what we would be looking at from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, everyone on VRS Plan 1 or Plan 2 have the option of purchasing both short-term and long-term. And then those who are, like I say, on the hybrid, they automatically get that as part of their payment into VRS. So, I mean, they're paying it. It's just, it's mandated through the hybrid plan.
Okay. When you said it earlier, I thought, the way I understood it is only that third option had the long-term, short-term, so I didn't hear the other component.
So, question, and if, as we move forward and want to have more discussion to this, I think it would be a great opportunity for this benefit to help bridge someone for short-term disability and/or, if I'm remembering correctly, short-term disability, you usually have to be out for at least 6 weeks to 3 months.
It's usually 60 days, I think.
Okay. So
30 to
you have to
60.
use your own time until short-term disability could kick in. So this would help those that no longer had that time, that 60-day window. It would help supplement their salary until they met the option of having that STD and LTD. So that's great that we can offer that STD and LTD for them as well. But this would help those, let's say, that have already expended their own, time off, until that time. So I think it's a great perk that I'd like for us to, look at at the right time, that we can afford it. But it certainly would be, a nice benefit that we could offer our employees.
So short-term and long-term disability, is that for caregivers and
No, it's usually just for the employee,
Okay.
unless they buy in, as far as for the hybrid, it's just the employee. As Plan 1 and Plan 2, I think you can buy that for you and your spouse if you want. Or if not, they can usually get it through their employer.
Do we have any breakdown on how many people are tip on the hybrid and how many are on 1 and 2? Because if everybody ends up on the hybrid, we solve the problem.
Well, they're the people who have been in VRS, which doesn't mean that they weren't somewhere else and came into VRS.
Yeah, because they can come with their VRS
About
years.
11 years.
You got to be 11 years.
Well,
in
they're
VRS.
11, that group, if they came in 2014 when it started, would be finishing year 11.
Okay.
Now, if I worked in another state and came in, I could be retirement age at this point. Others, if I started and I'm early in my career, you figure they have another 15, 16 years to get to 30 plus.
But I'm saying, so now when you
33-year
come
pop.
into the VRS system, do you have to go into the hybrid? Okay, that's what I thought. So I just want to get
But I'm just saying it's 15 to 17 years
So we could be
out
looking
before-
at, so we could say, so you still going to have people floating around on 1 and 2 for a good chunk of time. Okay, I'm just helping make my decision, understanding the numbers there that way. Well, I mean, I think as a board, we've got to decide, is this something we're going to address now? Or, are we going to table it? Do we want to wait till after we see how the budget shakes out? We have a lot of needs, and I'm going to say this tonight. As a school board, priority is obviously the academics for the students. And there's a lot of things that I would love to spend money on, but we don't have it. And that's the decisions we're going to have to make. So, I'm benevolent. I want to give everybody, I don't want anyone not to have a paycheck. It breaks my heart. But I'm saying as a board, I think that's a decision we've got to make. When do we want to address this? And get a consensus on that.
Madam Chair, just a recommendation, how about if we just go ahead and we can work on it individually and then come back together as a board and just do some research and kind of come up with an outline that we would like if we had if we didn't have financial obligations that we couldn't address this with, just go ahead and come up with how we would envision and to implement it. And then, of course, we could look at it, whether it's for next year to implement, as we move forward with finding funds to balance it. So basically, just do more research and then come back and table it for now. But table it, but also do research, to it, and kind of come up with an outline as if we were going to do it, this is what it would look like. And then, because basically we would be discussing, we don't know what we're discussing, because we don't have an outline yet. So.
Very true. All right, can I get a motion then from someone as to what we will do going forward?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. I'd like to make the motion to table this for now. However, for us to individually and/or 2x2 discuss and work on a tentative type of an outline as how we would envision it to look, and then at a later date come back and discuss the reality of it and whether or not we could implement it.
Okay. All right, do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that.
All right. And y'all still with me?
Wake them up.
Y'all got to keep up with the young members on this board. That should have brought a big laugh. Y'all are half asleep. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's have a vote. District 1, yes or no?
Yes.
Mrs. Wade?
And this is to table it?
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Taylor?
Yes.
And yes.
All right, so the 5-0. All in favor of tabling it and putting it, doing it as an opportunity to think outside the box that we always challenge others to do. See if we can do something. Luck y'all. No, good luck to us for trying to figure it out. I think it speaks well of the staff that have spoken about it and brought it forward. And you just never know what good you can do with it. I have no idea. And I know that many people have, in years past, have used days from a sick bank, and it had been very helpful. So I hope that we can put something together. All right, and move into the next piece of information, which is a good thing, Dr. Tigan. We have the donation to Powhatan Elementary.
Yes, that was an individual donation. Hold on one second. That Dolores Carter donated $400 to support supplies and any other needs that students would have at Powhatan Elementary.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
We have some very caring and kind people.
Move
toward our
on into.
school.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you done?
I am absolutely done.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. My glasses are fogging, my eyes are closing one. I'm not sure what's going on. All right. Of School Board Facility Use Report. We have policy and regulations for March to vote on, and we have this donation from Dolores Carter. Now, if there are any items in this consent agenda that you are not willing to vote yes, then let's vote to take them out and vote on them one. Because I want our minutes to reflect we have things that we don't agree on, that we can narrow it down specifically as to whether it was A, B, or C. So if there is nothing here that can't be voted on with a yes vote, let's put it all together. And if not, let's do it one by one. Who wants to start?
Madam Chair, I suggest that we just vote on the consent agenda as presented. If no one has a problem with it, we don't need it one by one.
That's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
See, I told you they were asleep. I told you they were asleep.
Okay.
I'm going to keep the young people here. Still haven't gotten that joke.
So can I make a motion, Madam Chair, that we accept the consent agenda as presented in A, B, and C?
Yes.
I
Could I get a second?
Second.
All right. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right. See, that's not that hard. Come on, y'all. We're almost done. Comments by the board and next month's agenda items. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Hurt. Take it away.
Well, we've heard a lot of different comments tonight. You know, I firmly believe that school boards were never meant to serve special interest groups or rubber stamp the status quo. I think we're here, and they were initially created to give local communities control over public education. I firmly believe education belongs to people, not the system. That's the community, not necessarily the parents. And I think we have to ensure focus is that we are the local oversight, particularly in this, what's happening now, that's the trend that America is pushing to for local oversight. We have to take great responsibility into that with accountability to taxpayers. We heard tonight people wanting us to look closely at what we spend, and we've been asked that numerous times for the parents. And we really have to have flexibility and keep open minds and use to meet local needs. We have difficult things faced right now, and there's been a lot of friction because budgets are difficult for everyone involved. As a school board, you know, our number one job is academics and educating students. But we got to look at the Board of Supervisors. They have a vast area of needs that they're trying to cover and meet the needs of the community. So I hope that we can keep on trying to be very flexible with the Board of Supervisors and willing to listen to them and work to them so we can come together on an agreement. And yeah, one of the speakers tonight mentioned that the general public doesn't come out to the school board meetings. And I know you guys hear, but I mean, I hear every day phone calls, texts, instant messaging on Facebook, show up at meetings. Like this, Michelle and I had a fair number of people show up at Dunkin' Donuts from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I really think we are elected, and we really need to be careful to listen to what the public says. And yeah, they don't show up here, but they choose to email us and share their concerns. And I think it is our responsibility, and I think we're all hopefully pretty good at doing that, to answer the constituents' questions and try to solve their questions about where we're spending our money on things. So, you know, in closing, just keep in mind that, you know, we are a community of Powhatan County. We're not just a school board. We're in the community. And I had the, I won't say a luxury of seeing the county as a chair of the Planning Commission. So I understand how difficult it is for county government to meet all the needs. And I just hope that when we find out what that magic budget number is in May, that we you know, can put thinking caps on and come together and solve what we're going to have to do to make sure that we're doing our number one job, and our number one job is for the academics for the kids. And God knows I would love to give sick leave and do everything in the world to make our employees, give them huge raises. And I know a lot of our administrative staff is not probably being paid at other areas to do, which that concerns me. But we're just going to have to do the best we can do and just use our common sense and work as a team with the Board of Supervisors to solve our problems. Thanks.
Okay.
Just a couple of things. We had our meeting last month with the Career Workforce Development. They had 2 middle school students with the ag department come in, and they're doing a program where they're building wood duck blinds. And I have to say they did a lot of research into how to build them and how to. The one young man, and he actually spoke on the video for the middle school. He was extremely eloquent. His parents should be very proud because he knew exactly how to make a wood duck blind and everything that had to do with wood ducks. He was very well informed, so I was very impressed. We also got to see a demonstration of the robotics team. Yeah, I'm not very computer or robotic savvy, so of course I was impressed. So I have to say that the stuff that they're doing is amazing, and they should be very proud of what they've done. I got to go to a couple. Well, I only got to attend one Medford game. I'd planned on attending, but got in the way. It was amazing to see the athletes there and their schoolmates cheering them on. It was. Had one person sing the national anthem, and it brought a tear to your eye. It was great to see the support that all of those students had and how excited they were to get to play that game. So I was very impressed. If you haven't gotten to do a Medford game, make sure you catch one the next time they come around next year. Yeah, I think that's all. I'm going to be quiet. Thank you.
Dr. Taylor?
Just one quick thing this late hour. On behalf of our families who have students at Maggie Walker, we have been working diligently for the past 5 or 6 weeks, maybe a little longer, to work through our search process and what that needs to look like. That search has begun. Job has been posted, and we will soon, next few weeks, begin to work through the candidates and begin interviews. So the search is underway for the executive for Maggie Walker, and hopefully that person will be in place, ready to go July 1.
Mrs. Ward?
Okay. First off, I'd like to mention that I think it's very important. Our main duty here as being elected board officers is to make sure that we are educating our children properly in this county. Reading and writing is the essential to life. Anything that, if you're not able to read, you're not able to write, you're not able to excel in your future. I would like for us to focus on identifying children maybe in the kindergarten, well, maybe first and fifth grade, identifying those that may be struggling as far as, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and I've got information for a reading word study and writing exercise you could possibly use to help identify those children, because I feel like if we can identify them at a much younger age, then we won't have so much need as far as special education, in their future. If we can help them learn identify what those skills are, when they're much younger. But just to force on reading, writing, history, the arithmetic, and the sciences, because you're not able to learn all those other acts of education if you can't read and write. And I've been watching a lot of our students and then looking at some of the pictures that we take, and even just some of the simple things of our children not being able to hold a pencil correctly. We all know that psychological studies, it's a true purpose to being able to hold your pen and pencil correct. And I'm thinking maybe in this day and age, because we're so focused on computers and, well, they don't really need to know how to write because, they can use computers. But, we focus on helping these students learn how to do that, to read and write, hold their pens and pencils correctly. I've children fist write. And that's just, it's, to me, I think it's important for them to be able to read and write, and focus more on the books, minimize the computer time that they have, really develop their own cognitive skills. We also heard in regards to organizations that represent us as a school district and also as a school board. I am in support of one of the constituents that came up and spoke about the SBMA, that aligns more with our community and those that have elected us and put us, in this office to focus on from an organization that aligns with our constituents here in our county, whereas VSBA doesn't align with the majority of our constituents here in this county. So it would be nice for us to have maybe some conversation to look at pulling away from SBA as other districts have in Virginia. And then also in regards to the well, no, I think those are all my notes.
Thank you. All right. It's always a wonderful meeting when we recognize our students and our teachers. It was great to see each one of you here tonight. Thank you to the athletes for your dedication to your sport and the coaches who support and guide you. Congratulations to the teachers recognized here tonight and their dedication of hard work. Thank you for the donation to Powhatan Elementary School and also to the staff who made presentations to the board here this evening. And then I have to give a special thank you to Mr. Benway for his dedication to finding out answers to my questions in regard to the savings of the solar panels. And we just saved us a bunch of money, didn't we? By your hard work and dedication. Never give up. And how to figure it all out. Thank you so much, Mr. Benway, for that. I appreciate that much. And Dr. Tigan.
Yes, I would just say that we are in the hiring season. So our families can be expecting communication shortly, introducing our new principal for next year at Powhatan Elementary and Powhatan High School. Those individuals were approved this evening, and I think that there'll be times available maybe between now and the end of the year for them to have the ability to meet these individuals as well. We can't promise that, but we will certainly work to if we can make that happen. But it's a sad time to see Constance retiring, although it's good for her. And, she has given lots of years of service to our children and in this community. And she deserves to reach this point where she can retire. And, I know as we age, we take on new responsibilities that are outside work that can impact our decisions. And so we will be celebrating with her and our other retirees next Wednesday evening. And that's bittersweet because with everyone, we wish they could stay forever. But we also wish them all the best because they've worked long and hard and they deserve the ability to do fun things with their spouses and, whatever it is that's going to make them happy as they continue to transition from work into retirement. And so very excited to be able to celebrate them as well as our Teachers of the Year next Wednesday night. That's all.
All right, thank you. And since there are no signatures on the second public comment period, I'm not going to read that. I am going to move right on to the adjournment of the meeting for 9:22. Good night.